Hello, Oilers fans. Austin here, and welcome to today's pregame report between the Edmonton Oilers and the Minnesota Wild. Now, normally, I probably wouldn't be very excited for a game against the Minnesota Wild. Historically, Minnesota has had Edmonton's number all throughout my childhood and into my 20s. It's just one of those teams. Minnesota is one of those teams that for some reason seems to consistently play very well and beat the Edmonton Oilers. However, that has kind of changed over the past couple of years. The Oilers have won 4 of their last 10 games versus Minnesota, which is not that great, but it is much better than what it used to be. And the Oilers have won 2 of their last 3 matchups overall against the Wild. Last year, the Oilers took both games in Minnesota. They lost their 1 game against the Wild on home ice, but the Oilers last season did play Minnesota very well. The Oilers outscored them in their 2 wins. Looks like by a score of 12-4 in those 2 games in Minnesota. But goal scoring is not going to come easy for Edmonton tonight because the Wild are starting their young phenom rookie goaltender, that is Jesper Wallstedt, who the Oilers could have drafted in 2021, but decided to trade it down in the draft to select Xavier Bourgault instead. Minnesota took that pick from Edmonton, drafted Jesper Wallstedt, and I know a lot of fans are very intense about that. I was one of those fans back in 2021 screaming off the rooftops. Why did they do that? Why would the Oilers not draft Jesper Wallstedt? They needed a goaltender in their pipeline, and for some reason, they just did not draft this guy. And Jesper Wallstedt, he's making all of the naysayers stay pretty quiet these days. He has been unbelievable for the Wild. The Minnesota Wild in general, one of the hottest teams in the National Hockey League. They are 8-0-2 in their last 10 games. The Oilers have their work cut out for them. But if you're an optimist, if you're an optimist for the Oilers side, if you're an Oilers fan, you can look at the Oilers' last 5 games. Now, their one outlier game, their one really bad game was against the Dallas Stars where they lost 8-3, but ever since that game against Washington during that big road trip they were on, the Oilers' effort has been there. Their play has been much better. The game against Washington, they lost, but the effort was there. The game against Tampa Bay, the effort was there. They lost in overtime. Then they beat the Florida Panthers, which was fantastic. They came home, had a horrible game against Dallas, but then they go on the road and beat the Seattle Kraken 4-0. So in the Oilers' 4 of their last 5 games, I've liked their play a lot, and that is a reason for optimism that maybe they're turning their season around. They have a lot of work to go, or they have a lot of work to show to prove that the team is turning their season around. Because if they go on home ice tonight, start of a 5-game homestand, by the way, if they go on home ice tonight and Minnesota absolutely runs the show, then obviously we know the team is not, back, quote unquote back. Are they back? Not quite. The Oilers have to go on a bit of a run here for me to consider them back. And I would say the Oilers on this 5-game homestand. It is not a road trip. They are at home finally. On this 5-game homestand, the Oilers likely have to win minimum 3 out of the 5. Optimally, I would like 7 points out of 10 on this homestand. To me, that would show that, okay, they're ready to go. They're banking points and they're getting themselves back up in the standings. But there's a lot of work to do. Minnesota's going to be a tough matchup. In today's pregame report, I'll be going over the lineups, the stats, keys to the game, players to watch, and score prediction. If you like today's content, hit that like button. If you really like it and you're not yet subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe so that you never miss out on any future upload or live stream. Speaking of live streams, no live stream tonight. I'm not sure when my next live stream is going to be. Probably Saturday. Hockey Night in Canada against Winnipeg is kind of what I'm aiming for, but I'll keep you all posted. With that out of the way, let's talk about the projected lines versus the Minnesota Wild. At practice yesterday, so these lines are based on practice yesterday, you had Savoy remaining on that top line with McDavid and Zach Hyman, and I don't mind this at all. I think Matthew Savoy brings a lot to the table that goes, I would say, unnoticed a lot of the time. The way he plays without the puck, he really does create open space for McDavid and Hyman. Zach Hyman, of course, against Seattle, scored his first goal of the season. It was a power play goal, but I would like to see this line generate just a little bit more. I know Hyman, we're still giving him a little bit of runway here to get his game going. Savoy, I'd like to see a bit more finish. I'd like to see more shots on net. And Connor McDavid, well, he's playing good hockey, right? I've actually liked Connor McDavid's play a lot. His back and forth game in the offensive zone, defensive zone. I think McDavid has been pretty solid over the past couple of weeks here, and the offense is going to keep coming for him because that's just the type of player he is. But it would be nice when he gives the puck to Savoy or Hyman if they could bury a couple chances tonight. That would go a long way in solidifying that top line for the time being. On the second line, you have Vasily Podkolzin with Leon Draisaitl and Andrew Mangiapane. Now, Mangiapane to me is kind of the outlier on that line. I would prefer to have someone else up there, but if you take a look at who is in the lineup right now with Roslovic injured, I don't know who you would put on the second line. Henrique, I wouldn't want on the second line. Janmark, absolutely not. Frederick, absolutely not. Clattenburg, no. It's a situation where you just hope Mangiapane can hold his own. Maybe pot one or two. He does have a good shot. I just want to see a little bit more from Mangiapane. He's been very quiet. He's been kind of invisible lately. I'd like to see him get a little bit more engaged on the forecheck. I'm not sure really happened here with Mangiapane because earlier in the season, he was pretty effective when he was on the ice. I liked the chances he was getting. And I don't know if it's just a situation where he's still trying to figure out his role on the team, if the team's trying to figure out what they need from him in the meantime. But for Mangiapane, with Roslovic out, they need some secondary scoring here. I would like to see him, start to turn his season around next to Leon. On the third line, you have Adam Henrique with Nugent Hopkins and Mattias Janmark, which I thought was actually an okay line against Seattle. I didn't dislike it. I thought they played pretty good. Nugent Hopkins back in the lineup had 2 points in that game against the Kraken, which was fantastic. It just goes to show that Nugent Hopkins, when he's out of the lineup versus when he's in, you can tell that there's a big difference in the depth at center. When you're able to roll three lines with either McDavid, Draisaitl, or Nugent Hopkins, that's fantastic. So with Nugent Hopkins in the lineup right now, that goes a long way in solidifying some depth. That really helps that third line. Adam Henrique, he's been quiet all season, but that's what Adam Henrique does. He doesn't really do anything negative on the ice. That third line, I would like to see them just pitch in a little bit on offense. Just a little bit. I'd like to see maybe a goal. Maybe Mattias Janmark can get a goal. That would be very nice to see. And then on the fourth line, you have Frederick with Lazar and Connor Clattenburg. Now, Clattenburg had his first official National Hockey League fight against the Seattle Kraken. We'll see what he's able to do tonight against the Minnesota Wild, as Clattenburg, he's getting an extended look right now, especially with some of the injuries to some of their forwards, Philp, Roslovic, and Kapanen. Kapanen, of course, re-aggravated an injury, which is very upsetting. He is likely not back until after Christmas. Jack Roslovic also likely not back until after Christmas. Jake Wallman was skating with the team at practice, but I don't think he'll be available for about another week or so. That seems to be the timeline, at least according to Chris Knobloch. On defense, you have Ekholm with Bouchard, who played, I would say, very well against Seattle. I've liked Bouchard's game a lot over the past couple of weeks here. They've just got to make sure that they stay consistent. Same with Ekholm, right? Ekholm, he's had his ups and downs this season. As long as they're consistently okay and good, we're okay with some of the mistakes that are going to happen. As long as they're fighting for that space in front of their goaltender and they're taking away those second and third opportunities from opposition members, I have no problem with these two right now. They just have to keep playing the way they have been, and the team is going to have some success. On the second pair, you have Nurse with Regula. I still think Regula is biting off a little bit more than he could chew. In an optimal world, I would have Emerson up with Nurse just to kind of, limit Regula's minutes, shelter him a little bit more, I guess would be the word. But Kulak has been absolutely abysmal this season, and putting him with Regula might be an even bigger disaster. Brett Kulak, I just want to let everyone know, this is a crazy stat, by the way. In the month of November, now that we're into December here, in the month of November, Brett Kulak was on the ice for 0 goals for at 5-on-5 and 14 goals against. Yep, he had a negative 14 goal differential at 5-on-5 in the month of November. Some of that is luck. Some of that is PDO driven. On-ice shooting percentage is going to eventually regress positively. And obviously the goaltending, it is what it is. It's been pretty bad. But for Kulak, that's not good, right? We've relied on Kulak to be a very good two-way defenseman, very stable two-way defenseman over the past couple of years in oil country. But his game, it needs to turn around. If this team has any chance of winning hockey games consistently, Brett Kulak has to turn his game around, or he may be seen as a cap casualty, and you may see the Oilers move on from him in the future. I wouldn't want to see it, but I could understand why they would make that decision. And then in goal, you have Stuart Skinner coming off of a big shutout against Seattle Kraken. For Stu, can he follow it up with another good game in a row? Can he have 2 consecutive solid games in a row? Or are we going to see more regression where you play really good one night and then you're really bad the next night, really good one night? Stu is either Dominic Hasek great, or he is absolutely just abysmal, worst goaltender in the league. There's literally no in between with Stuart Skinner. We need him to start finding consistency until the Oilers are able to make a trade or make a move to solidify their goaltending tandem. Now, when it comes to the stats for both clubs, the Minnesota Wild, they are 14-7-5 this season. They are third in the Central. They are 8-0-2 in their last 10 games. They have been absolutely incredible lately, and a lot of that has to do with Jesper Wallsted's play. Minnesota's power play this season ranks 7th best in the league. Their penalty kill ranks 22nd. Goals per game, they rank 25th, but goals against per game, they rank 9th. So the Minnesota Wild earlier in the season were kind of struggling at putting the puck in the net. They were struggling at getting the saves that they needed, but that has all changed. Gustafsson has been playing good. Wallstead has been absolutely lights out. So the Minnesota Wild don't need a lot of goals right now to win hockey games, but to me, it also shows that they're relying a little bit too heavily on goaltending. If the Oilers are able to get to Wallstead early, you could see them have success. The Minnesota Wild haven't been playing from behind in very many games. If you get Minnesota playing from behind, you're probably in a good spot if you're the Oilers here. The expected goals percentage at 5-on-5 for Minnesota this season ranks 23rd. That is the exact same as Edmonton, by the way. They have the exact same expected goals for percentage. That was kind of funny looking at this morning. Shots for percentage, they rank 27th, but their team save percentage at 5-on-5, look at that, a .932 or 93.23% save percentage at 5-on-5. Minnesota's goaltending is unbelievable. It is fantastic. Their power play is good. The Oilers' penalty kill has been good as of late. They just cannot give Minnesota any freebies tonight. The Oilers have to be on top of their game. Minnesota has a lot of young players. They're a very fast team. They play with a lot more pace than, in years past, I would say. And they don't trap like they used to. The Minnesota Wild today are a much more exciting team to watch than what they used to be when I was much younger. So it's going to be an exciting game. But the Oilers have to be on top of it right from puck drop. The Oilers this season, they are 11-10-5, which is 6th in the Pacific Division. They are 5-4-1 in their last 10 games. Their power play ranks 3rd in the league. Their penalty kill ranks 17th. Goals per game ranks 11th. Goals against per game ranks 30th. That is abysmal. Expected goals, again, like I mentioned, same as Minnesota, ranks 23rd. Shots for percentage ranks 9th. And team save percentage at 5-on-5 ranks dead last. Goes to show that sometimes if you don't have good analytics, if you have a good goalie that can kind of keep you in games, that's the difference between these two teams. One team is 14-7-5. The other is 11-10-5. This is why so many fans in oil country scream from the rooftops about getting an upgrade in goal. Would another goaltender make a big difference for Edmonton? Especially with the way the Oilers have played in front of their goalies this season, I would say it would probably have added about 3 or 4 wins to the team. And that would be great. If you add about 3 wins to the team, that's 14 wins, and then 3 losses away from the team, they could be, realistically 14-7-5 instead of 11-10-5. But for the Oilers, right now, the job is focusing on tonight. Whatever Stan Bowman has cooking in the background, we're not sure. There's still a lot of rumors floating around. Will it be Binnington? Will it be Jari? Will it be someone else? Will it pick someone up from waivers one day? I don't know what the case is. I don't know what's going to happen when it comes to the goaltending for the Oilers, but they are 8-0-1 when they get a .900 save percentage. That's all we're looking for tonight from Stu is a .900 save percentage. If he gives up 3 goals, it better be on at least 30 shots or more. That's kind of what we're looking at here. Now, if we look at the keys to the game, the Oilers, number 1, stay out of the box. Don't give Minnesota any chances because they will make you pay. Number 2, play with an edge. I want to see that emotion that we've seen from this team over the past few games here, especially with Connor Clattenburg in the lineup. And number 3, keep the feet moving. If you are caught flat-footed against this Minnesota Wild team, they are going to burn you. They're going to make you look like a pylon. They're going to make you look silly, and they're going to capitalize on their chances. The Oilers have to keep their feet moving at all times tonight. And on home ice, I would hope that the crowd energy and being able to play on home ice and knowing that you're not going on the road for another 10-game road trip, that would be really nice too. It'd be nice to see the team just, find a way to start building, playing together, playing as a unit, and stringing together some wins. For the Minnesota Wild, their keys to the game, capitalize on your scoring chances. Special teams are going to be key. The Oilers have been lights out on the power play against Minnesota Wild lately. And in their last 10 games, the Oilers have 13 power play goals in 32 opportunities for about a 35% clip. If you're Minnesota, do not give the Oilers any power play opportunities. And if you do, that penalty kill has to find a way to get some stops. And number 3, make the Edmonton Oilers work for everything. Make Edmonton work. Force them to dump the puck in. Don't let them have their free chances when they skate into the zone off the rush. Minnesota, they've been structured, they've been disciplined, they're getting the saves. It's going to be a tough one for Edmonton tonight. Our game note of the day, the Oilers are 4-6 and have a goal differential of -2 in their last 10 games against the Wild. And like I mentioned, last season in Minnesota, they beat them by a score of 7-1 and 5-3. So if you look at the smaller sample of the last 2 games, maybe there's some hope for, some reason for optimism here for the Oilers. My players to watch tonight, I'm going Zach Hyman for the Oilers. He had his first goal of the season against Seattle. Let's see if he can build on that, maybe get another one. Hyman, he does seem to score in bunches, so we'll see how he does tonight. And then Jesper Wallstedt is going to be the player to watch for Minnesota. A lot of Oilers fans will be they'll have Wallstedt under a microscope. And if Wallstedt early in the game makes some saves, and if Skinner can't make the saves early in the game, well, then the fan discourse is going to be outrageous. Highly recommend everyone just stay off social media, depending how the game goes tonight. Listen, it is what it is. Oilers fans are passionate. I completely understand. Wallstedt is the player to watch for the Wild. And when it comes to my score prediction, am I feeling optimistic? Am I feeling kind of in the middle or pessimistic? Now we're feeling optimistic today. I like the Oilers' chances. I like the way they played in 4 of their last 5 games. I'm going to consider that game against Dallas an outlier. I'm going to say 5-3 Oilers with a Matthew Savoy goal. That's kind of what I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling pretty good overall about the team and the game. Let's see if they can find a way to get the job done against the Wild tonight. It would go a long way. Start the homestand off strong, right? You bank a couple points now. Not as much pressure later in the homestand, depending how things go. But I'd like to see a big win tonight against the Wild. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're going to the game tonight, have a lot of fun and good luck. Enjoy. And I'll see you in the post-game fan reaction. Tell some that you love them. And as always, fight like a kid. Fight like Ben. Let's go Oilers. We'll see you soon, Oil Country. Enjoy the game.